You ever notice how some folks walk into a room and before they even open their mouth, people just straighten up? They carry something. Ain't nobody handing them free respect. They bring it within. And it's not about the car they drive, the money in their pocket, or how fancy their suit is. No, respect runs deeper than that. See, life will try you. People will overlook you, doubt you, even talk about you behind closed doors. But if you stay in faith, if you hold your head up, walk in purpose, and learn a few simple truths about human nature, you can command respect without ever begging for it. That's the key. It's not something you chase, it's something you attract. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this ain't about pretending to be perfect. You can't fake real respect. Folks can smell fake like cologne sprayed over bad habits. But if you take the time to learn what actually moves people, if you understand the little switches inside the human mind that make someone say, "That's a person worth listening to," then everything changes. I'm talking about real everyday psychology, not the kind you read in some dusty textbook, but the kind you see on the streets, in the office, at the dinner table. The kind that works whether you're talking to a stranger, your boss, or even your own family. And today, I'm going to give you 5 powerful secrets, straight from the way the human mind works, that will make people see you, hear you, and respect you every single time you show up. But before we get into that, I need you to understand one thing. You can't halfway believe in yourself and expect the world to go all in on you. You got to stay in faith even when it don't look like it's working. That's where respect starts, right here in your own chest. Confidence is one of those things that people can sense before you even say a word. It's not about walking in with your chest puffed out or acting like you're better than anybody else. That's arrogance, and arrogance pushes people away. I'm talking about the kind of self-confidence that's quiet, steady, and rooted so deep that even if the world shakes, you don't. See, when you carry that kind of confidence, it tells people something without you having to spell it out. It says, "I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table, and I'm not here to beg for your approval. I'm here to add value." That's powerful because people respect certainty. Think about it. When you meet someone who's sure of themselves, they make you feel like they've already done the homework on life. They know where they stand. And it's not because they never have doubts or fears. It's because they've learned how to stand tall, even in the middle of them. That's the difference between people who command respect and people who get overlooked. You don't have to be loud to be noticed. You just have to be solid. Now, here's the thing. Most people think confidence shows up when everything's going right. They wait until they've got the perfect job, the perfect body, the perfect relationship before they start feeling confident. But real confidence works in reverse. You don't wait for the world to clap for you before you believe in yourself. You decide to believe first, and then the world starts clapping. It's a decision, not a reward. That decision shows up in the little ways you carry yourself. When you walk into a room, are you looking at the floor or are you making eye contact? When you talk, are you mumbling like you're hoping no one hears you? Or are you speaking clear and steady, like you have a right to be heard? You'd be surprised how much people pick up on those small signals. The human brain is wired to look for cues of leadership, and leadership starts with how you lead yourself. If you don't believe in you, nobody else will either. But let's be honest, confidence isn't something that just magically falls out of the sky. It's built, and it's built through faith and repetition. You've got to practice standing firm in who you are. That might mean saying no when you've been used to saying yes, just to keep the peace. That might mean showing up to the meeting prepared even when you feel like an imposter. That might mean wearing the clothes that make you feel strong even if they're not what everybody else is wearing. Every time you choose yourself, your confidence gets a little stronger. And confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about moving forward even when you are scared. People respect that. They respect the person who's willing to try to step up, to put themselves in the game, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Because let me tell you, the truth is, nobody respects the one who plays it safe forever. They respect the one who bet on themselves and proved they were worth the bet. Another thing about unshakable self-confidence is that it's not loud, but it is undeniable. You don't have to announce your worth to the room. People will see it in how you act, in how you handle yourself when things go wrong, in how you don't crumble when someone challenges you. There's a certain peace that comes from knowing your value that makes people lean in. You're not desperate for their approval, and that's what makes them want to give it to you. One of the best ways to grow this kind of confidence is to keep promises to yourself. When you tell yourself you're going to do something, wake up early, finish that project, start that workout, do it. Even if nobody else sees it, you see it. And when you see yourself showing up for you, you start trusting yourself. That trust builds a foundation that can't be fake. And that's the kind of foundation respect is built on. People think respect is about impressing others, but more often, it's about impressing yourself first. When you know you've put in the work, when you know you've done what you said you'd do, when you know you're not pretending, that's when your confidence stops shaking every time someone else's opinion blows by. You stop chasing approval and start carrying authority. And here's the part people miss. Confidence is contagious. When you show up steady, people around you feel steadier. When you believe in you, it makes them believe in you too. That's why some people walk into a room and instantly shift the energy. It's not magic, it's the result of years of believing when nobody else did, of choosing faith over fear, of deciding that their worth isn't up for debate. That's what unshakable self-confidence is. It's faith in motion. Listening with intent is one of the most underrated ways to earn respect, yet it's one of the most powerful. Most people these days are only half listening. They're nodding their head, throwing an air, or ha, but in their mind, they're already forming their response or scrolling through mental to-do lists. You can feel when someone's doing that to you, and it doesn't make you feel valued. It makes you feel invisible. That's why. When you actually give someone your full attention, you stand out instantly. You make them feel seen in a world that's constantly distracted. And when people feel seen, they feel respected. When you listen with intent, you're not listening just to reply. You're listening to understand. You're paying attention not only to the words they say, but to the tone, the pauses, the little shifts in expression. You're catching what's said between the lines, the things they might not even have the courage to say directly. And when you respond, you're responding to what they meant, not just what they said. That makes people trust you, and trust is the foundation of respect. You see, psychology tells us something simple but powerful. People remember more about how you made them feel than the exact words you used. So, when you make someone feel like they matter enough for you to put down your phone, stop glancing at the clock, and give them your undivided presence, they walk away with a deep sense of value. It doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say, but it does mean you cared enough to really hear them out. Now here's where most folks get it wrong. They think listening is just being silent while the other person talks. That's not listening. That's just waiting for your turn. Real listening is active. It means you're nodding, asking clarifying questions, and showing you're processing what they're saying. It's leaning forward instead of leaning back. It's saying things like, so what I hear you saying is, or that must have made you feel, and actually meaning it. Those small cues let the other person know you're invested in their words. When you make this a habit, something amazing happens. People start opening up to you in ways they don't with others. They trust you with their thoughts, their fears, their dreams, because you've proven you won't just brush them off. And the more people feel safe around you, the more respect they have for you. That's human nature. We respect those who make us feel valued and understood. Think about the last time you talked to someone who was fully present with you. No phone in their hand, no eyes darting around the room, no impatient sighs. Just you and them, locked in on the conversation. You probably walked away feeling lighter, maybe even more confident. That's the power of intentional listening. It lifts people up. And when you can lift people up with nothing but your presence, you've got something rare. Another part of listening with intent is setting aside judgment in the moment. Sometimes people won't say things perfectly. They might use the wrong words, get emotional, or share something you don't fully agree with. But if you jump in too fast to correct, criticize, or turn the conversation toward yourself, you shut them down. Intentional listening means giving them the space to get their whole thought out before you decide how you feel about it. It's not about letting wrong ideas slide. It's about letting people feel heard before you share your perspective. That patience earns respect because you've shown that their words matter enough to be fully heard. And here's another thing. When you listen this way, you learn more. You pick up insights, details, and perspectives you'd have missed if you were too focused on what you were going to say next. This makes you wiser, and wisdom naturally commands respect. People start coming to you for advice, not just because you give good answers, but because they know you'll truly understand their question first. You'd be amazed how this changes relationships. In business, it turns clients into long-term partners because they feel like you actually get their needs. In friendships, it creates depth and trust that surface level chatter never could. In family, it makes even the quiet ones feel comfortable sharing what's on their heart. And in all those situations, the respect you earn isn't just for what you know. It's for how you make people feel while you're listening to them. We live in a world that's so loud. Everyone's shouting their opinion, posting their thoughts, trying to be heard over the noise. But the truth is, the person who earns the most respect isn't the loudest voice in the room. It's the one who's willing to be quiet long enough to truly hear others. That quiet strength speaks louder than any speech you could give. And the beautiful part is, it's a skill anyone can develop. You don't need a fancy degree or a powerful title. You just need the discipline to slow down, be present, and really listen. When you do, you'll notice something. People start listening to you more too. It's a kind of unspoken exchange. You give respect by listening, and in return, you get respect when it's your turn to speak. Because by then, they know you're not just talking to be heard. You're talking because you have something worth saying. Setting clear boundaries without apology is one of the strongest statements you can make about your self-respect. And the truth is, it's also one of the fastest ways to earn the respect of others. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They're lines that define how you expect to be treated. Without them, you leave the door wide open for people to take advantage of your time, your energy, and your kindness. And the hard truth is, if you don't set the standard for how people should treat you, they'll set it for you. And it might not be in your favor. A lot of people struggle with boundaries because they're afraid of coming off as rude or difficult. They think saying no means they're letting someone down or risking the relationship. But the opposite is often true. The people who genuinely value you will actually respect you more when you're clear about your limits. It tells them you're not desperate for approval, you're not afraid of discomfort, and you know your worth. People can sense that, and it makes them take you more seriously. Boundaries also make your yes more meaningful. If you're the type of person who always agrees to everything just to keep the peace, people stop valuing your effort because it's too easy to get. But when you only say yes to the things that align with your values, your time, and your energy, people start appreciating it. Your yes becomes a gift, not a given. That shift alone can change how people see you. The key to setting boundaries without apology is learning to stand in them confidently. You don't have to over-explain, justify, or make excuses. You can say, I can't commit to that right now, or that doesn't work for me, and leave it at that. When you explain too much, you open the door for negotiation or guilt tripping. But when you keep it simple, you send the message that this is not up for debate. That firmness delivered with calmness speaks volumes. And here's the thing. Boundaries aren't just about keeping out what drains you. They're also about protecting what matters most. That could be your peace of mind, your family time, your creative energy, your personal goals. When you say no to things that pull you away from what's important, you're saying yes to yourself. That's not selfish, that's necessary. People respect those who protect what they value because it shows you have direction and discipline. Sometimes the hardest part of boundaries is enforcing them with people you care about. It's one thing to set limits with strangers, but it's tougher when it's friends, family, or coworkers you see every day. They might push back at first, especially if they're used to you always being available. But the more consistent you are, the more they'll adjust. And when they see you're not bending just to avoid conflict, they'll start respecting your space. Now, some people won't like your boundaries at all. That's just the truth. They might call you distant, cold, or selfish. But here's the reality. People who benefit from you having no boundaries are the ones most upset when you set them. That's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's proof you're finally doing something right. You're no longer allowing access to parts of you that should be earned, not taken for granted. Setting boundaries also teaches people something about themselves. It forces them to confront the fact that the world doesn't revolve around their wants. And in the long run, it can even make them better, because they'll start learning to respect not just your limits, but the limits of others too. It's important to remember that boundaries don't have to be harsh to be effective. You can be kind and firm at the same time. You can say, I really appreciate you asking, but I can't do that right now, and still be respectful. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about showing them the healthiest way to be in your life. And the people who truly care will meet you there. What makes boundaries so powerful is that they communicate without you having to brag or demand anything. You don't have to announce, I respect myself. The way you protect your time, the way you handle requests, the way you refuse to be pressured, that says it for you. People notice it. They might not always say it out loud, but they file it away in their mind. This is a person I can't walk over. This is a person who means what they say. This is a person worth respecting. And the beauty is, the more you practice setting boundaries, the less guilt you'll feel about it. At first, you might second guess yourself or feel bad for disappointing someone. But over time, you'll see that the people worth keeping in your life won't be lost because you drew a line. They'll still be there, maybe even closer, because now the relationship is healthier. Boundaries are a form of self-respect in action. They don't just tell people how to treat you. They tell you how to treat yourself. And when you treat yourself with that kind of respect, the rest of the world starts following your lead. Consistency is one of those quiet forces in life that speaks louder than any big speech you could give. People might be impressed by what you do once, but they respect what you do over and over again. It's easy to show up strong for a day, a week, maybe even a month. Anybody can put on a good act for a short stretch. But real respect comes when people watch you stay steady through seasons, when they see that who you are on Monday is the same as who you are on Friday, and the same as who you are when nobody's watching. Human nature is funny. We trust what we can predict. That's why people respect consistency. It tells them you're reliable, you mean what you say, and you're not just blowing smoke to sound good in the moment. If you've ever had a friend who was there for you every single time you needed them, you know how much that sticks with you. You don't have to wonder if they'll show up, because their track record says they will. That kind of dependability is rare, and that's why it's so valued. But here's where it gets real. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not about grand gestures or big announcements. It's about the daily choices you make, the habits you keep, the promises you follow through on even when you don't feel like it. Most of the time, nobody's clapping for you while you're doing it. You might even feel invisible. But over time, those small, steady actions build a reputation that speaks for itself. People begin to associate your name with trust, with stability, with integrity. And that's when the respect starts to deepen. The opposite is also true. If you're unpredictable, people may like you, but they won't fully respect you. They won't know which version of you they're going to get. And if they can't depend on your word, they'll stop taking it seriously. Respect doesn't grow in uncertainty. It grows in the soil of reliability. Every time you follow through, you're watering that soil. Every time you keep a commitment, you're strengthening the roots. Consistency isn't just about how you treat others. It's about how you treat yourself. When you show up for your own goals day after day, even when nobody's holding you accountable, you build self-respect. self-respect. That self-respect changes how you carry yourself, and that changes something people pick up on without you saying a word. If you tell yourself you're going to do something, wake up early, finish a project, work on your craft, and you actually do it over and over, you start believing in your own reliability. And when you believe in it, others do too. The challenge is that consistency is tested the most in hard seasons. Anybody can keep their word when it's easy, but can you keep it when you're tired, when the excitement has worn off, when it feels like nobody cares? That's the point where most people quit. And that's exactly why the few who keep going earn so much respect. They prove they're not just driven by mood or hype, they're driven by commitment. One of the most powerful things about being consistent is that it makes people feel safe around you.